Whew. Yeah, that was an incredible grand finals. Frankly, it's hard to walk away from that as anything close to disappointed. Maybe if you're a Vitality fan, you're a little butthurt coming out the other side of this. But as a G2 fan, and certainly as just an impartial viewer, this is one of the most entertaining grand finals we've had in quite a bit. G2 walk away having beat the 5th best team in the world in Furia, the 2nd best team in the world in Vitality in the grand finals, and earlier eliminated Spirit, who are the #1 team in the world. All of that in one tournament run, beat FaZe in the quarters as well. Considering that G2 were a, I believe like a top 15 ranked team in the world coming into this, this is one of the most incredible underdog runs we've had in quite a while. If not like straight up the best underdog run we've seen in CS2. Maybe if you want to put Na'Vi winning the Copenhagen Major above that, I could see the logic in that. But in terms of like S tier non-major event wins, this is there. This is #1. It went all 5 maps. It was just cinema front to back. That Inferno game was an instant classic. And now we gotta sit down and break it down and try and make sense of what just happened. So if you guys enjoy this kind of content, you can show me by leaving a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel down the rate, help me at 10K subs by the end of the year. Also, we blasted past 8K yesterday. Thank you guys so much for that. We are definitely gonna hit 10K by the end of the year. So help me get there as soon as possible. Also, follow me on twitch.tv/LionHeartZ 2. Help me get to 1,000 followers there while we're at it. And lastly, let's go ahead and thank today's sponsor.
This video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey, a CS2 trading website. You put in the skins that you want to trade, you select what you want, you use my code LionHeartZ for up to $5 off, or click the top link in the description, and boom, new drip.
Nice.
You can also use my code for a 35% deposit bonus if you want to buy with real money. And they have a free section with cool giveaways. So check the top link in the description, use my code to buy 15 Dragon Lores to let them know I sent you their way, and thank you to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring this video.
Okay, so follow me for a second. We're going to change up the recap format for this grand finals, because I think it makes sense for what we saw play out. The first 3 maps, Dust 2, Mirage, and Overpass, are all blowouts. In terms of the tactical side of Counter-Strike, there frankly just isn't much for me to break down here. This was on Dust 2, G2 overwhelming Vitality with their firepower. On Mirage, Zyro putting in one of his best individual performances ever, and then continuing that dominance over to Overpass, and keeping G2 shut out almost entirely. Inferno is an incredible affair where G2 go down 6-1, somehow bring it back despite losing both pistol rounds into overtime, and then sweep Vitality in that overtime in dramatic fashion to force a map 5 on Train, where they would go on to dominate Vitality like they did on Dust 2 to take home this improbable victory. So we have this buildup of rising tension that peaks and crescendos on Inferno, and I want to give a lot of time to that Inferno game. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with just kind of some narrative stuff, talking about the impact of this win, some of the things that were going on in terms of storylines in the first 3 maps. We're going to do a lot of tactical talk when it comes to Inferno, and then we'll close out the series talking about Train. If you guys enjoy this kind of light, more conversational style of recap, let me know. This is something that I really haven't tried before, so I'm looking for some feedback here. Anyways, we open on Dust 2. This is Vitality's best map, even though they have 5 of those that you can really consider that. So going into this, I thought G2 were going to have this uphill battle with Vitality starting on their T sides, and absolutely fucking not. G2 comes out the gate swinging, they hold Vitality to just 2 T side rounds, and then blank them in the second half, winning out the game 13-3, which is just on its surface a remarkable result, because going into this matchup on Dust 2, shout out to B-Trans for putting this on the broadcast, there was only one other team that pushed Vitality to double-digit round wins, and it was Team Liquid, and they lost that game in double overtime. So when Vitality played Dust 2, they win. This is the one time where they didn't. Maddie's was fucking frying. This dude is a freak. This kid's a fucking freak, dude. Left-hand mouse might be the future. It makes me wonder as a left-handed man myself if I've been just capping my potential all this time. But Maddie's is just magnetic with the headshots. His rotations around B, either playing around in mid, going back to A. He was just finding constant impact and shutting down a lot of these late-round executes from Vitality. The important thing to really point out is that Zyro went just completely missing in the first part of this game. He was 0-6 at one point, his worst career start in the CS2 era. And as something I've highlighted many times here on the channel talking about Vitality, one of Zyro's unfortunate flaws as a player is that he's very much one speed. If he starts hot, he stays hot. If he starts okay, he stays okay. If he starts bad, it's very hard for him to find that second gear. Now, one of the T-side rounds that Vitality would win in this first half was off the back of an incredible 3v5 that Zyro flips into an ace holding down the B site. And that's a fucking remarkable highlight for anybody, but Zyro made it look so effortless. And when he hits that ace after starting off so terrible, I think the door is open for Vitality to try and make something out of it. The problem was that G2 kept firing back. They never allowed Vitality to win multiple rounds in a row in this matchup. So it feels like while that ace could have been very impactful, it's ultimately just a footnote in what is an opening round loss for Vitality. Also important to note, at least through this first map, I think Sunpius was doing a fantastic job. Obviously, Zyro was not having a great game, so he didn't have to worry about that head-to-head very often, but he was just managing himself very well, getting very good opportunistic picks through mid, just being mobile, which is what you want out of a CT side opera on Dust 2. Heading into Mirage, it feels like G2 are just an unstoppable object. They're just going 1,000 miles an hour. They're just going to keep running over and running over, but they pancaked against a brick wall, and that brick wall was Zyro. He was a fucking monster in this game. He goes 14-6 on the first half, holding G2 to just one round win through the first 6. Now G2 do an incredible job to manufacture multiple great T-side rounds and split this half 6-6, but there was nothing stopping Zyro in the second half. He gets right to work, pistol round ace on the B push. He's just hitting every fucking shot. The round after, he hits a just unreal one tap on the player jump peeking in apartments. Zyro goes 16 and 0 deaths in the second half, with Vitality winning 7 straight rounds to just punt the game closed. I have never seen a single half rating this high before. That T-side half for Zyro, he ends with a 3.92 rating. Holy fuck. 177 ADR. That is, brother, Zyro's round swing percentage in the second half was 30%. 30! This is literally impossible numbers. And with Maddie's especially having his worst map of the playoffs so far, Hunter not doing much better, it left Sunpius, Mouths, and Heavy God just shit out of luck. Because when Zyro's just in this takeover mode, he is one of those players. Him, Donk, and Simple. These are the only 3 players where they can really just enter just this rarefied space where they will single-handedly 1v9 win you a map. And that's exactly what happened. We continued this momentum into uncharted territory for both teams on Overpass. The problem is that Overpass more or less duplicates the exact same pace from Mirage. And I mean that quite literally. Here's an overlay of both of their round layouts, like the timeline history on HLTV. This was the exact same game. This was Vitality in firm control. Zyro top fragging again, just not as broken of numbers. He only ends with 20 kills. Fuck, such a terrible game for Zyro. I would say this basically boils down to G2 haven't really played Overpass, so Hunter's depth of calling, his ability to manipulate the T-sides just really wasn't present here. And with Vitality riding high off the momentum of Mirage, they continue to just cook individually. This was a pretty brawly affair. Neither of these teams had a whole lot of like super in-depth looks and site takes. This was just about who was going to win their gunfights, and ooh yeah, Vitality were doing that. They absolutely gapped G2 in terms of openers, going 14-5 in first kills. Malbs had a very terrible time on Overpass. Again, this is neutral ground, a map that neither team really plays, so I'm not that mad that G2 just kind of give this up. The problem is, in terms of the series, is that they're now down 2-1 facing elimination going into Inferno. However, this is where shit gets interesting. Like, this is one of the most impressive wins I have seen from a team in a very long time. Because in this game, G2 are going to lose both pistol rounds, the first 3 rounds of both halves off the back of it, fall down 1-6 to begin with, and still win this game in overtime. Which means, in case you didn't figure this out already, that G2 won all of their rounds damn near in full gun round situations. They only had to play into a full anti-eco situation 1 time in the second half. That is otherworldly impressive and truly insane to do against a team like Vitality. Now, because it's Inferno, not all rounds are created equal. Some of these were pretty straightforward, like on round 8, where Malbs is going to punish Apex for his aggression up Banana by taking him out through the car spam. Meanwhile, Heavy God's going to take care of Zyro in the apartments. Even though Heavy God gets traded out, this is now a lopsided 3v4 situation for Vitality, and Inferno just dictates that this is a save. We don't get to see some high stakes 3v4 post-plant situation, which maybe Vitality could win on a different map. But put a pin in that, we're going to switch gears and talk about how G2 manufactured this comeback on the CT side. We'll come back to that T side stuff in just a minute. Round 19 is a pretty good example of how well G2 managed to minimize damage on the banana. There are only a handful of times where Vitality were able to get a banana for free or for untraded picks. Most of the time you had rounds like this where Maddies and Malbs are going to do well to get picks before they go down, forcing Vitality into a lot of late round situations where they got to go back to A. Now in a case like this, it's a very late rotate back onto the A site, and G2 has tucked its remaining players doubled up into pit. Hunter is playing full bait here. And even though Heavy God goes down without getting a pick first, because he goes down, no one's expecting the second player into small pit, so Hunter can get out, get a pick on the M0nesy, and then kill Zyro after the bomb goes down. That left ropz in a 1v2, and while ropz can certainly win this, he's too low health and he's not able to. We're now at a tie game 10-10. I want to emphasize on this round just how well the rotates and the re-aggression from G2 was throughout this half. Where here, Sunpai is going to take a peek mid, go into apps, take a look over there, rotate all the way around through boiler, truck, back into side, go back around to arch with Hunter, and then after about 30 seconds into the round, gonna re-aggress into mid, catch Apex on the timing, take him out of the round. That's gonna force Vitality back down mid to go towards B. Meanwhile, Malbs and Maddie have retaken car control and banana, and then Maddie's gonna hit just two amazing flashes. It's the same flash, but the first one would normally entail that there's gonna be a peak, but Malbs just waits. So from Vitality, it just feels like a flash to try and push them off, so they turn around to go back to A. However, Maddie's throws a second one to allow Malbs to peek behind it now, and he catches all three players with their backs turned. The one player playing for the banana push is fully blind. He gets a double kill before he goes down. Just simply beautiful re-aggression that cuts Vitality down cold. But obviously, this game does go to overtime and have to give Vitality a lot of credit on their own. First off, Apex authors a just perfectly done clutch in the very next round to tie the game at 11-11. And I can't stress how much I mean perfect. Him and M0nesy get the bomb down. It's a 2v3 situation. M0nesy's going to extend back towards Boiler Room and get a pick before he goes down. So now it's Apex in a 1v2 with one player coming Boiler and the other coming around through Arch. And he just allows them to be convinced he is pit or apps. He never reveals himself. He just crouches tucked in the back of the site, knowing that the longer he waits, the more likely G2 are to make a mistake. Let them accelerate. Let them hang themselves. At the very last moment, he pops up, both players not looking his way, and he hits both shots. An excellent, excellent clutch from Apex, just using his years of experience against Maddies and Malbs. And the round after is one of those few times that Vitality won the banana fight cleanly. Malbs and Maddies just go down. Hunter, the third player, he's stuck back a site. He only gets one pick before he goes down. And the rest of G2, the remaining players, can just try and save. But ropz on that ever lurk just comes through back into CT spawn through A, picks them off too, and Vitality just blitz 2 rounds as fast as you can blink. They have map point, series point, last round of the game, and G2 are fucking broke. Now, I'm just gonna throw this out here. I don't think Vitality really fucked up this final round. It's just hard to legislate for how balls stapled to the wall G2 would approach this situation. Because Vitality execute an honestly really good B-side take. Malbs is the lone defender on site because G2 gambled towards A. Unfortunately for Vitality, as they're taking the site, Maddies and Sunpius eject themselves through the CT smoke separately, one at a time, both taking a pick before being traded. So instead of those two dying instantly like they normally would 9 out of 10 times, it's now a 3v3. And even though Malbs goes down on site with no kills, Sunpius and Maddies took enough time away from the site take that Hunter is already all the way up banana, and he catches a totally unaware ropz just right out of the timing. And as he falls back and Zyro snaps back to look at what the fuck is going on, that's where Heavy God does the third dry walk through a smoke peek of the round because the timer is so slow, and just shoots down Apex, who has to plant because of the timer, leaving Zyro in a 1v2 on low health to go down to Heavy God right after. G2 just threw bodies at the problem, and it happened to work. We replayed this round 10 times. Vitality wins that round 9 times out of 10. I'm being so fucking serious when I say that. It is so improbable for all of those picks to go G2's way when they are just going through a smoke dry. And I'm being so for real. The first round of overtime, this is anybody's game still. Vitality, they worked their way back to another late B hit. and people are going to be pretty critical of Zyro over this, and I think that's fair. There is a fuck up in the setup. They are trying to cover everything in fire. All of oranges, new box, throw the smoke into church, throw the smoke CT, just a full sight B execute. Zyro not only misses his nade, which was inconsequential because nobody was there, but he misses the new box Molotov slightly, so that Malbs, who had picked up an op that Sunpius had dropped at car at the beginning of the round because he died, is able to sit there behind new box, like Stewie 2K, shades of the Boston Major. I can't believe Malbs just recreated one of the most iconic moments in CS history, but it turns out that B site is the operating room and the doctor is in and Malbs can opt too. The first two picks are poetry. The smoke spam from the rotating CTs just seals the deal. Malbs gets the third pick. He can do it all. The Guatemalan GOAT. I love Malbs. He is the lone carrier of NACS in this tournament at this point. And now G2, they have momentum. They got the crowd on their side. They got everything on their side. And they are just feeling great. The very next round, M0nesy just has an improbable triple kill sitting in the fucking cubby at top of Arch. How he gets the second and third headshots, I don't understand. This man is a left-handed alien with the rifle, and he is just magnetic to the head, just like Malbs is. It's fucking wild. I can only think of so many halves total that Vitality have played, overtime or not, where they have won 0 rounds. And G2 found one of them in this overtime when they really needed it. And I just want to talk about the final round of the game, because I'm not fucking joking. This is one of my favorite T-side calls in the entirety of CS2. Like, I'm going to clip this and put this up as like a YouTube short, TikTok or whatever. This round deserves its own attention separate from everything else. I want to show you the masterclass in mid-rounding that Hunter puts up, because mid-rounding is an art and it is so undervalued in CS2. First things first, we eject Malbs of Banana because that's just the G2 playbook. Get to top a car, bait out some utility, it draws in a rotate, M0nesy comes over from A, so the only A presence for Vitality right now, if we pause, are 2 players in apartment, we have 3 people on the B site. So, G2, they're going to back up, they're going to push back towards mid, they're going to take space up mid, smoke R, start taking some space around Boiler, Heavy God's going to pinch through apps on the timing, and catch Rops on the Boiler stairs and take the first pick of the round. Now, if we pause, this is going to cause a chain reaction. Vitality are going to try and push up and take car control a little bit so they can rotate 2 players to reinforce A. They're going to take that space. Malbs is lurking here at the barrels. Hunter is going to rotate back down and flash assist to eject Malbs back up banana control, totally blind Flames, and eventually take the pick. And then Flames and Hunter are going to accelerate through banana up onto the B site. Hunter's going to go down, but Malbs is going to keep going all the way through church. This is pulling the rotate. Again, everybody flooding back towards the B site, leaving just Zyro as the lone A anchor as the rest of G2 have rotated back off banana, leaving Malbs where he is to take back A. It's a double fake. Malbs is such a good distraction that M0nesy and Apex are so glued to trying to get rid of him. Zyro has to be the one-man army, and while there's many times in his career where he can do that, this was not one of them. Zyro goes down, the bomb goes down, M0nesy's going down through banana to mid, Apex is now trapped in between Malbs and the players on A, he's stuck in library and outside of Moto, really just waiting to see what Malbs is going to do, so he's just utterly trapped. And even though M0nesy's going to get a pick on Sunpius at Boiler, it's just so much time is bled off the clock already that M0nesy and Apex have to go for just the quick pinch, but Maddie's in Graveyard, just 2 excellent headshots, wipes the game off the board. I can't emphasize enough just how good this control of the mid round was from Hunter. He called circles around Apex to win this game and put his team in position going into the 5th map on Train. Unbelievable stuff. And at this point, the video is getting a little bit long, so I'm not going to go super in depth on Train here. The big thing to understand is that G2 rode high on their momentum. They won the first 6 straight rounds, blanking the Vitality T side. Heavy God had some incredible clutches, just constant impact. His rotating around B and through Ivy was impressive. It was just a total team effort to hold Vitality's T side, which is one of the better T side trains in the world, to just 4 rounds. And with Train being a CT sided map, I felt like this game was by no means over. It could be very feasible for G2 to just get blanked on their own T side and the game is suddenly back on. However, M0nesy and Malbs were not having that. M0nesy is just so fucking accurate, dude. His headshotting is just crazy impressive. And in the first 4 rounds, there were multiple, I think 3 total, where late round situations came down into A takes where Malbs and or Maddies had to just go out A main or pop dog and find 2 or 3 headshots that shouldn't be possible. Even in situations where they were in like 3v5s, Maddies and Malbs would just lance out and just outshoot Vitality in a way that we just are not used to seeing. Vitality are supposed to be the most talented team. They're supposed to be the deepest team, and they couldn't find their headshots while G2 simply couldn't miss. So let's talk about narrative impact. One, Vitality losing here is hugely unexpected. As soon as they get to the grand finals, we're right back to where they should be. Vitality should be in control. They're the best team left. They're still the team of the year, the best team in the world in many people's eyes. I still think it's Spirit, but that's neither here nor there. This should be the we're back moment. The era's back on. Nothing to be worried about. This is business as usual. We don't lose in best of 5s. And despite that, their first best of 5 loss didn't come from a Falcons, a Mouse, a Mongols, a Spirit. No, it came from the 12th ranked team in the world, a team that does not yet have a clear superstar player like an HLTV top 10 player in the world, and that's who they lost to. They didn't just lose off of a freak game. No, there were multiple points where Vitality was in firm control, multiple points where Vitality were almost seeming guaranteed to win the series, and then they got beat straight up, outshot, outcalled, outplayed. If there was ever a moment for there to be a crack in the armor, a crack in the psyche for Vitality, it would be after a loss like this. The Vitality now have a lot to prove, especially against teams that are only getting better, like said Mongols, like said Spirit, and like said Falcons. For G2, they shoot up the power rankings immediately. Heavy God gets his first MVP of what I assume to be many. I expect Heavy God by the end of the year to break out as an HLTV top 10 player in the world. When I watch him play, I see that superstar potential. He looks like the next coming of Rops. And today, he outfragged Rops on every map he played. Hunter can easily walk into the conversation as a top 5 IGL in the world if he continues this trajectory. G2 are probably the best Inferno team in the world. Sun Pius is only getting back to the form that we expect of him every tournament, and Maddies and Malbs make for one of the most dynamic, young, aggressive rifling cores in the world. I feel like it's not that unfair to say that given that there is a current top 4 that is unfuckwithable, it is Spirit, Vitality, Mouse, and the Mongols. Put them in whatever order you want, it's those 4 teams. After that, the only teams that I would consider in the same ballpark as G2 right now are Furia and Falcons, and both those teams have issues. If G2 just keep getting better, then yeah, they could be a top 5 team in the world. They showed that today. And much like Furia and the Mongols, the best part about G2 is that they are a likable team. They are fun to watch, they have nice personalities, they make for good interviews, and you want to believe in them when you see them play. Like, seeing Malb succeed makes me smile, it makes me happy. And seeing how much this win affected the team made me happy. Because all the way down, I respect Saw a lot as a coach. I love Sun Pius. I've been in his corner for as long as I've been making videos and talking about him. And Maddies is just a fucking weirdo lefty who just seems to be one of the straightest shooters in the game right out the box. Like, what is there to not like? They've just played fun Counter-Strike, and if they just keep getting better, this won't be the last time we see them in a grand finals. And while I'm still very angry about how G2 has managed their organization over these last couple years, because yes, as much as I hate to be the bearer of bad news, they probably would be better off in terms of overall potential if they still had M0nesy and Niko. I can't also, deny how good they are right now, and this is the reality they live in. G2 have squandered the past, it's dead and buried, but at least what they have now has a vision, it has a path forward, and that's super commendable. Congrats to G2, one of the most excellent underdog wins in CS2. They are your Blast Open London champions. If you guys enjoyed this coverage, you can show by leaving a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help me take case subs at the end of the year. Thank you to Skins Monkey for sponsoring this video. Check top link description to go try on their website. Listen, I sent you their way. Thank you to Skins Monkey. Shout out to my channel members: Justin, Jesse, Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1 Games, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vandervate, I'm Flashmax, Snowy White, Rowdy, LBKcs, Snax Enjoyer, Crunchy Water, zerotwocs, drudenae, chron, Gano, Zyro, Devvrat Singh, and Clyde Mead. If you want to become a channel member, it's one of the best ways to support me directly. For $5 a month, you get your name at the end of the video just like this, as well as custom on the community Discord. Follow me on Twitch at TV/LionHeartZ2. Help me hit 1,000 followers there soon. I'll see you guys soon in another video. Peace!